Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news show. We've got lots to talk about in today's show and I'm going to get right into it. Are you guys fed up? Because I am fed up with link, agreement. Oh, no, it's not agreed. Is it agreed? Oh, repeated stories. Just like, I just signed someone. We've been linked to Mason Mount now. Like we are, there's Kante, there's Mason Mount links. Obviously, we know Pau Torres. Well, I don't think we'll get Pau Torres. Obviously, we know Timber De Jong and Nunez are the main three, but it's like, it's just United advancing on a deal. Talks getting close. Talks of Ajax and United now. Timber agreement with United. This is agreed. This is confirmed that this player will leave. Like it's confirmed Darwin Nunez will leave. It's confirmed United and Ajax have had talks. It's confirmed De Jong and Ten Hag have had talks. But it's just a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, cool. Now do something. I've had enough of talking about the same stuff for weeks. Honestly. And we've got one journalist saying the United are planning medicals for De Jong and Timber. And that's what I'm going to get into. That's the main talking point in today's video. But why are we planning medicals for players that we haven't had a here we go for? Obviously, you do the medical, then you technically sign the player. But, why are we planning their medicals if, does that mean that we're closer than we think to signing them? Does that mean it's just a shit journalist report? I'm a bit like, just sign someone. Do you get what I mean? But obviously, look, I'm going to get into all the news. I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm going to get into what the reliable journalists said mostly. And then I will, you've got to take some of the unreliable journalists with a pinch of salt. But look, the situation is De Jong and Timber have both had interviews. De Jong, Timber and Nunez, United actively going for. I know that. I don't really want Nunez. I want De Jong. I want Timber. De Jong wants to stay at Barcelona, but it will be Barca and United. We know with Frenkie De Jong, it is Barcelona or Man United. He goes to one or the other, no other side. And if Barcelona can solve their financial issues, which reportedly they have, he will stay. So, bit of a blow for De Jong today. Timber, on the other hand, I see it as he'll go to United if he's guaranteed game time. We're working on those deals. Some journalists saying it's really close and that, we're going to get surprised. Here we go. Another journalist saying it's not so close. All I'm saying is if Laurie Whitwell says something, if David Ornstein says something, if Fabrizio Romano says something, listen to them. I will tell you that as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and share the video. Transfers are getting boring. Literally, they are getting boring now. It's just do something. Tottenham have got Perisic. City have got Alvarez and Haaland. Liverpool have got that Fabio Carvalho. I think Liverpool are losing Mane, though. And it's like, okay, so we know we're in for Timber, De Jong and Nunez, and I'm trying to be positive. You know me, I always look at the positive stories. I try and remain the hope that we'll get De Jong, remain the hope that we'll get Timber, but I know United are trying to be more secret and let the media know less about the deals they're working on. I know Ten Hag apparently has got a few surprise transfer targets that we don't know of yet. So it could be someone like a Sangari, could be someone like a Skamaka that comes out of nowhere. And I know that United, instead of doing their usual sign one player, then work on another player, then work on another player, United are working on 3 players at once rather than one at a time. Like, I know that. Obviously, we've got Andy O'Boyle in today, which will give Mercer more time to focus on transfers and that, but I'm a bit fed up just reading crap. Like, Ten Hag is here. He wants his signings done by the end of June. Now, I've always said this, and I'm going to remain confident and, look at the positives because it's been a very negative season and ragging it going I don't like, but I'm still trying to look at the positives because if I look at the negatives and I start calling out the club, I'm just going to be depressed because I've been calling out the club for too long now. I will continue to call out the club, but I'm not going to call out the club until the end of the transfer window. I'm going to judge them at the end of the transfer window. So I'm trying to stay positive that United are working on deals. And United promised Ten Hag that they'd get the business done by July. So that means if I'm remaining positive, that could be 3-4 players coming in June. We could be sitting here in 4 weeks' time, having signed 4 good players and be really happy. We could be sitting here in 4 weeks' time going, De Jong this, De Jong that, Timber this, Timber that. I tell you what, if I'm here in 2 weeks' time and I'm still talking about De Jong and Timber and we haven't signed them or haven't even got close to signing them, I'd just stop talking about them because it's a bit, frustrating. We're just getting reports about us planning a medical for them and all of that. And all the reports are just absolutely just contradicting each other. Angie says, are they being secret? I doubt it. Seems like most likely deals are the ones in the articles. I agree. I think there could be like a secret kind of signing. Well, maybe not secret, but a player that we haven't been linked to that much and they just come in like, who was it? Andy O'Boyle. Like, we were linked to him, but not much. Like, we were linked to Paul Mitchell more than we were linked to Andy O'Boyle, and we got Andy O'Boyle in. It's not like we weren't linked to Andy O'Boyle, but like when we were linked to him, we didn't think anything of it. And maybe we'll sign a player that we've been linked to, but when we've been linked to them, we thought nothing of it. Do you get what I mean? Like, you know, I'm trying to think like someone like an Ndika that we've been linked to, but not thought much of it. Maybe someone like an Enzo Fernandez where we've been linked to them. We think it's possible, but they're not like there's something in that. I think maybe there's more interest in a player than we know. But yeah, I don't think we're going to just sign a player that we've never been linked to. But I think maybe the secret deals are players that we've been linked to once or twice and we're potentially interested in signing a player. Please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe down below if you're new. De Jong ain't coming, but we're going to get into that. And De Jong could be forced to move because of the issues Barcelona have. Yeah, the situation with De Jong is he's either going to be at Man United or Barcelona next season. We know that because United are the only team that will give Barcelona the money they need for De Jong. But Barcelona are trying to sort out some things so they don't have to pay for De Jong. My hair is an absolute mess. Someone says we should go for Neves. I'm not the biggest fan of Neves. Look, Neves, Nunez, Tielemans, you know, people saying, oh, we should get them. I'm really not that bothered. I honestly am not. I just don't know if Neves would work in Ten Hag's system. That's just my opinion as well. And next season's going to be big for Ten Hag. Then the season after next season will be even bigger, I think, as well. And why are you not trying to play here? Doesn't want to come. Well, obviously, because he might have to leave Barcelona. And the thing with De Jong is, and he said it in the interview today, if De Jong has to leave Barcelona, he will go to United. It's not that De Jong doesn't want to come. If De Jong has to leave Barcelona, he's got a choice of PSG, United, or Bayern, he would choose United. But if De Jong can stay at Barcelona, he will stay in. And I think that's the situation. Someone have a word with Ronnie and have him recruit João Felix. I quite like João Felix, but again, it's a deal I don't see happening as well. Just hope we sign players who want to play for the club and not for money. Absolutely spot on. And just a bit baffling, our squad is a mess. Many need to be replaced. Meanwhile, other stable big clubs are making deals or close to them. Exactly. Do you know what's annoying is we haven't really signed or brought anyone yet. We haven't signed or sold anyone yet. Rafinha or Anthony, definitely Anthony for me. I think Rafinha's overrated. It's a frustrating one, isn't it? Window's frustrating. United were even linked to Lewandowski. We're not going to get him. I wouldn't mind Lewandowski for a season. I know the rebuild's long term, but there's just not many great long term strikers out there that maybe you go for someone like Lewandowski for a season as well. Sabo's the 69th like. Well, let's go for 300 likes. So make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Andrew said, I don't want Neves. We need more efficient baller like De Jong. I'm surprised Barca are even linked with Neves. I agree. 100% agree. I'm going to get into the transfer news. We're going to get into the De Jong news. We're going to get into the other news. I want to get into the story by Graham Bailey, though. And this is what the thumbnail's on. He said Manchester United would ideally like to have JURRIEN Timber and Frenkie De Jong in for medicals by the time their Dutch national team ends. And I just think this is a really weird article by Graham Bailey. He's talking about Man United wanting medicals for Timber and De Jong. And it's like, United want to sort these medicals by the time the international break ends, so in the next sort of week and a half and all of that. And obviously, there's reports saying that Man United are going to sign someone in the next week. And, there's reports that saying Timber's advanced, De Jong's advanced, and then the next day there's reports going De Jong isn't advanced, Timber isn't advanced. Like, obviously the transfer news and the transfer stories are just contradicting themselves and all of that. But I just think, obviously he's not a tier 1 journalist, obviously take it with a pinch of salt, but why are United thinking about medicals for JURRIEN Timber and Frenkie De Jong? Why are we thinking about when we're going to have a medical for JURRIEN Timber and Frenkie De Jong? Because we need to crack on and get them. And maybe we have cracked on. Maybe we're a lot more advanced in these deals than we think. Maybe we're actually quite close to signing one of these players, but we're trying to play it off. Or maybe we're nowhere near signing them. Only time will tell. But I think that's a really weird article saying that we're planning medicals for Timber and De Jong for when the Dutch national team ends. So does that mean that we're going to sign them once international duty's over and we don't want to distract them on international duty? Is this just another kind of smokescreen by United as they're delaying deals, so they need to leak a story for PR and be like, oh, they're delaying deals because international duty? I don't really know. Graham Bailey also said that United are making progress on the deal for JURRIEN Timber, and Ajax have made Timber an offer to stay, but it's not far short of what he did at United. Graham Bailey also said that Manchester United have now worked on a number of deals, including Nunez, Torres, De Jong, and Timber, who have all entered talks. That's also been said by Graham Bailey. I know with Timber Timber will come to United if we can guarantee him playing time. Timber will happily stay at Ajax, but he's still open to move to United. We know that. Frenkie De Jong will move to United if he has to leave Barcelona, but if there's any chance he can stay at Barcelona, he will, because Barcelona is his boyhood club. Barcelona is the club he loves, and Barcelona is the club he always dreamed of playing for. Now, I want to get into the Frenkie De Jong news, and then I will get into the Timber news. So do smash that like button, do subscribe as well. And what happened to Makeda? Well, that was years ago. I mean, look, Rashford could be the next one, although Rashford's done a lot more than him. I don't want to, I think it's bad that we compare Rashford to players like Makeda. Rashford's a brilliant player, has had a few brilliant seasons, and it's been crap lately. But Rashford could be the next world back if he's not careful. There is a big article that came out about Rashford and his future, and how if Ten Hag gives him some stability and confidence, we could get Rashford back, and Rashford being in Ten Hag's plans. I think we should give James Garner a chance. There was an article that came out on James Garner saying basically if Ten Hag believes he'll use him, then he'll stay. But if Ten Hag thinks he's going to be a bench player, he'll let him go on a Premier League loan. And sadly, seeing a lot of these same from his ex Ralph out and not very proactive deals. Yes, it's just not the most positive time to be a United fan at the moment. But back into the news. So obviously Frenkie De Jong had an interview today, and he was asked what does he want, and he said, well, obviously he prefers to stay at Barcelona. He said this before, Barcelona is the club he dreamed of ever since he was little. Frenkie De Jong's been a Barcelona fan his whole life. De Jong, Barcelona is his club, and De Jong's like, of course I'd like to stay at Barcelona. But then De Jong was asked, what if other clubs are interested in you? What if other clubs call you? And he said, well, yes, you can always do that. He says everyone does that. If other clubs are interested in me, of course I'm going to take the call. But obviously my dream would be to stay at Barcelona. It's a bit like when Rashford said that he loves United. He can see himself playing for United, but maybe one day Barca, Real Madrid would be an option. It's like Frenkie De Jong saying his loyalty is with Barcelona, but there's another club that shows interest in him. He's not opposed to it, but he preferred to stay at Barcelona. So that was sort of what Frenkie De Jong said. He also said quite a few other things. If you look at the European lad on Twitter, who I feel sorry for. I don't know if you guys follow the European lad on Twitter, but every time he tweets something about Timber or De Jong or something, especially Timber, because Timber's at Ajax, he's an Ajax fan. Us United fans are like, yeah, he's ours, pipe down. We're in a bit of a war. It's a bit of a weird one. We're in a little bit of a war. But obviously, Frenkie De Jong also said a number of things that I'm going to get into now. And obviously, Frenkie said, of course, he'd rather stay at Barcelona. Blah, 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 blah. We know that. Frenkie De Jong also said about the links to United that obviously he has been linked to Manchester United, but the people in charge of Barcelona didn't tell him anything. So he's going to assume there's no agreement and nothing going on because Barcelona haven't informed them much. And Frenkie De Jong said, when asked if he's been in contact with Ten Hag, said he won't tell you this. So basically, Frenkie De Jong's confirmed he's been in contact with Ten Hag, but without confirming it. Frenkie De Jong said he spoke about Xavi, about next season, but it's about how the squad needs to improve. And Frenkie De Jong was told that a sale could help Barcelona's financial issues. And De Jong said he understands that, but the club didn't tell me anything. They didn't propose anything to me, so I'm assuming nothing is going on. Frenkie De Jong said, I've never felt regret regarding choosing Barcelona. Definitely not. Barcelona is the club of my dreams. Barcelona is the club I've dreamed of ever since I was a kid. So Frenkie De Jong in his interview kind of said, he loves Barcelona, all of that, but he knows what's going on at Barcelona, and if another club calls and he needs to leave, well, he needs to leave. Frenkie De Jong was then asked about Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum was not called out to the Dutch international squad, and that's because he's gone to PSG and he doesn't play. And Frenkie De Jong was asked, if you move from Barcelona, are you worried about not playing? And De Jong said he's not worried about that because he wouldn't make a move if he wasn't going to play. And then De Jong was asked, so if you go to Manchester United because Ten Hag wants you, will you 100% play? And De Jong says, well, I don't know if I'd 100% play at United, but I'm not moving to a club with the thought of I won't play here in my mind. And would Frenkie De Jong play for Manchester United? Obviously, yes. His competition is McTominay and Fred. And I think looking at all the De Jong news and all of that, looking at what we know, if De Jong can stay at Barcelona, he will. Barcelona are trying to do everything they can to balance their books to keep him. Reports are saying that they've sorted their financial issues so they could keep De Jong. But obviously, if De Jong has to leave Barcelona, it will be Man United. It will be he stays or he goes to United. And that is all dependent on Barcelona's financial situation and if they can sort it and all of that as well. So that's the whole situation on Frenkie De Jong to Manchester United, really, I would say. Obviously, there's a lot of news coming out. Romano said United haven't given up on signing Frenkie De Jong, and Erik Ten Hag will once try again to change the midfielder's mind. So it's obvious Erik Ten Hag is determined to get De Jong, wants to change his mind. And we know that De Jong will cost 68 million, and we know that United would be more than willing to pay the money for Frenkie De Jong and try and get the deal done. It was also said from a very reliable source via Managing Barca on Twitter, saying if the 3 economic agreements are completed successfully, Barcelona will not have to sell De Jong. So Barcelona are trying to put some economic agreements in place so they don't have to sell De Jong. So we might, you know, it's indicating more that De Jong could stay at the moment, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, but it's still a 50-50. But if we're going to be honest, if Barcelona can get these deals approved and done, they don't need to sell players. Barcelona are trying to sort out some financial deals that if they can get them done and resolved, they won't need to sell a player like De Jong. And if that's the case, then United have got to look at other targets. Now, who would you personally look at if we couldn't get De Jong? I would maybe look at Fabian Ruiz of Napoli, maybe Aqua in Ligue 1 for Lyon. You know, there's a few midfielders out there that we'd probably need to look at if we couldn't get Frenkie De Jong done. I think with United, you know, we put one more week into Frenkie De Jong, you know, and if we can't get him, I think we need to give up because we've wasted a lot of time and energy in Frenkie De Jong. We've come to agreements with Barcelona and all of that. And he obviously doesn't want to come unless he's going to be forced out the club. And it's getting to the situation with De Jong where it could happen or it won't happen. Some reliable journalists saying it will happen. Some reliable journalists saying that Barcelona will be able to keep him. Only time will tell. But what we do know, and this has come out from Seco Rodriguez, is that Barcelona have got to make 500 million by the 30th of June or they face financial meltdown. So, you know, if we're going to get Frenkie De Jong, it will be done in June. If we're sitting here in July, then Frenkie De Jong will not happen. I tell you that now. If we're going to get Frenkie De Jong, we have to sign him in June. And the Barca board have set the following: the 49% sale of Barca licensing and merchandising and 25% sale of TV rights would basically mean that they wouldn't rely on player sales to, you know, help their financial issues, and that Barcelona are trying to sort it out by selling their licensing, merchandising, and TV rights, so they don't have to sell De Jong. However, on the other hand, Barcelona want Lewandowski, who will very likely leave Bayern Munich. They also want to register Christensen and Kessie, and they're also interested in Rafinha, and it'll be a very, very tight one, so maybe they will have to sell a player, but maybe not a player as big as Frenkie De Jong. It was reported by ESPN that Erik ten Hag wants to test Barcelona this summer with a bid for Frenkie De Jong, despite his desire to remain at the club. We know that Barcelona would accept 75 million euros for De Jong, which is about 68 million pounds. Sport Witness obviously said that Manchester United will try and sign De Jong, and they believe they could get an agreement with Barcelona for 75 million euros, and that Man United would be willing to pay 75 million euros for De Jong. He's the main man in Ten Hag's project. And obviously, Xavi Miguel, who's a pretty decent journalist, said at the moment all roads lead to the departure of Frenkie De Jong, but Barcelona want 90 million euros minimum. If I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit sceptical about De Jong links. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's true. I'm 50-50 on De Jong because I was 70-30 on De Jong, but now the reports come out that Barcelona might have sorted out their financial situation. I'm 50-50 on De Jong. De Jong will be at Barcelona or Man United next season, and it's all dependent on can Barcelona sort out their financial situations, because if Barcelona have to sell De Jong, he'll be a United player, but Barcelona are trying to find ways to keep De Jong, and for me, that is the situation as well. I'm just taking a quick sip of water. Yasir says he's fed up of waiting. I'm fed up of waiting. I just want our first player. Barca do need to sell players, but they've sorted out some licensing, so they might not have to. Just get Xavi to sell a bunch of his old jerseys on eBay. Honestly, I'm going to get to the Timber story and more of the De Jong stories in a minute, but just watch Newcastle put 100 million on Nunez. Well, that Newcastle will put 100 million on Nunez. I don't think he's worth more than 50 million as well. Frankie's staying put. Girlfriend doesn't like the rain in Manchester. I always laugh when stories like that come out. Like Paul Pogba won't come because his girlfriend doesn't like England, or Di Maria's girlfriend didn't like England. Those stories always make me laugh because at the end of the day, if you're the girlfriend of a footballer, your man is making the money, most likely. Obviously not all, but some do work. Your man is making the money, and if you're saying, oh yeah, don't go there, I don't want to live there, he's making the money. You can choose where he wants to go. I always think it's a silly one, isn't it? De Jong needs to make a decision soon. He does. If we don't have De Jong in July, it won't happen. If we're going to sell De Jong, it's going to be next month, because tomorrow is the start of June. That's the situation with De Jong. People saying give Garner a chance. I don't know if Garner's ready yet. I think he's better than what we have, but I think he could benefit more from a loan. Danjuma and Ruben Neves, players that we've been linked to, but I don't know if we'll get them. And if Barca wants to do other business, they will need to sell regardless of any potential commercial deals they're leaking out, which is spot on by Andrew. So to sum up everything on De Jong loves Barcelona. You know, people are mad at De Jong for not wanting to move to United and all of that. And the way I see it is, it's not like De Jong doesn't want to come to United. It's that he doesn't want to leave Barcelona. It's not to do with United. If it was PSG, if it was Man City, if it's Bayern Munich, it would be the same. De Jong loves Barcelona. It's his dream club. It's his childhood club. It's the club he supports. At the end of the day, if I was playing for Man United, I wouldn't want to leave Man United. Do you know what I mean? You know, and that's De Jong with Barcelona. That's his club. That's the club he loves. It doesn't matter who he's linked to. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. But there's an economic situation going on at Barcelona, which means De Jong might have to leave if they want to sign players. And now that is up to Barcelona to figure out and see how they're going to sort that out. And if De Jong has to leave, it will have to be done by the end of June. And if De Jong has to leave Barcelona, the club he will go to is Manchester United, because PSG, Bayern Munich, City are not willing to pay 70 million for him. And Ten Hag's got the most convincing project for him because, you know, Bundesliga, Farmers League, Liga and Farmers League. If you go to United, you achieve something, you start week in, week out under Ten Hag. De Jong wants to stay. He's going to wait and see what Barcelona's financial situation is. Barcelona are trying to sort out their financial situation so they can keep Frenkie De Jong. But Man United are more than willing to give Barcelona the money they want from De Jong. Manchester United want De Jong. And again, it is all down to what... It's not even in Frenkie De Jong's hands. It is, does he have to stay or can he go? Sorry, does he have to go or can he stay? And we'll find out soon. And I say this now, I want Frenkie De Jong. I know from all the reliable journalists, Laurie Whitwell, Romano, United are working on a deal for De Jong. United are desperate for De Jong. De Jong is Ten Hag's dream signing, but sometimes you don't always get what you want. And if Barcelona can sort themselves out, he stays. However, if Barcelona want to get Rafinha and Lewandowski, they need to sell. And there's not that many valuable players at Barcelona. So it's an interesting one with De Jong, but I don't think he has a personal thing against United. I don't think De Jong wanting to stay at Barcelona is about the Champions League. I really don't. I think De Jong wanting to stay at Barcelona is because Barcelona is the club he loves. And that's basically what he said in the interview as well. But yeah, Man United should go for another target. I think we should potentially look at other targets. If nothing happens for De Jong in the next week or two, and there's no signs he'll come, then we need to look for other targets. De Jong said he prefer Arsenal. I personally don't believe that story. And De Jong's words have been put in all the Barca's hands. He wants to stay, but if he's pressured, he will leave. Exactly. Andrew's put it spot on there as well. So I'm going to get into the next story as well. Barca brought Kessie on a free for the midfield, so De Jong may not be a start. I think De Jong is better than Kessie, but more competition, I guess, and more reason to why they can sell him. I want to get into the Timber story now. JURRIEN Timber to Manchester United. What is going on? What is the news on that as well? So JURRIEN Timber was asked about a potential move to United and what his future is, Ajax, United, all of that. And JURRIEN Timber said, of course, I can still develop myself at Ajax. I'm 100% sure of that. I don't have a feeling that I'm done with this club, but I can develop myself at other clubs too. That, and I see it as JURRIEN Timber saying he'll happily stay at Ajax. He thinks that he could stay another year at Ajax and develop himself, but he also thinks that he could do well at other clubs too. It's him being respectful of Ajax, but also, you know, not completely closing himself off to a move. You know, if you're a player that could likely be moving, that's what you say, because you're not being disrespectful, but you're not completely shutting it down. If he wasn't going to move, you completely shut it down. JURRIEN Timber said right now he's focusing on the upcoming games with the national team, and after that he'll go on holiday. And when he goes on holiday, that's when he'll start thinking about a move away. I think the situation with JURRIEN Timber is that maybe United are quite advanced on Timber, but Timber wants to think about it because he's 20. It's a big move in his career. JURRIEN Timber said, eventually my feeling will decide my decision. He said the picture has to be perfect. You can move to a big club, but you do want to play. If you won't play, it would be better to stay at Ajax. Ajax is also a huge club. You play Champions League football. That ain't nothing. That's Tim's way of saying, you know, he's not going to leave a club if he doesn't think he's going to play. Obviously, you know, you look at Donny. He went to United, didn't play. He's kind of ruined his career, but I think he'll get that back on the Ten Hag. But I think with Timber, I don't think he'd be worried about game time at United because he's got Eric Ten Hag. And look, his competition's Harry Maguire has been shite, and even Deleu's been pretty average. So I think, you know, JURRIEN Timber, you know, it's a big move for a move like United, but he's not ruling it out. He's just saying if he feels like he'll get game time, he'll move. What I take from this, though, what JURRIEN Timber said is nothing's going to happen in the next week. There was indications from some outlets and some sources saying, oh, Timber's quite close. It could happen in the next week. I have a feeling nothing's going to happen in the next week. I don't think anything's going to happen with JURRIEN Timber till after the international break, because that's obviously what he is focusing on as well. Akram Konar did say that United are continuing talks to sign JURRIEN Timber. And obviously, Paul Hurst said that Man United have opened talks with Ajax over signing Timber. So we've had talks with Timber. We've had talks with Timber's representatives in London. And now we're having talks with Ajax over Timber. I believe we'll sign Timber. I don't know if we'll sign Timber for another 2 weeks or so. But I believe we'll sign JURRIEN Timber because we've had talks with Ajax and we've had talks with his agents. And that's been confirmed. Jamie Jackson also said Timber to Man United is warm on the move. Or JURRIEN Timber is warm on the move to Man United. So JURRIEN Timber seems more than happy with a move to United. And the Manchester Evening News says JURRIEN Timber will consider his future on holiday amid United interest. I think JURRIEN Timber will go to the club he wants to go to. United have a very good relationship with Ajax. It will be easy to do deals with Ajax. I think if JURRIEN Timber wants to go to United, he will go. I think it's been reported that JURRIEN Timber does want to go to United. There's reports that JURRIEN Timber even has a verbal agreement with Manchester United. Again, I don't know if that's true. I think with JURRIEN Timber, I believe the deal will happen. I think United will pay the money for him. I think Timber wants to come. I think Ajax will sell. We have a good relationship with Ajax. And Timber wants game time. And I think, he's played under Ten Hag. He knows Ten Hag will play him. I think Timber will get that game time. So with Frenkie De Jong, we're 50-50. Frenkie De Jong's future is in Barcelona's hands and Barcelona's finances' hands, whereas Timber's future, I think, is really more in Man United's hands and what they're going to do and what they're going to offer him and what they're going to promise him and what we're going to pay for him. And, the only thing about JURRIEN Timber is it's reported that United want to sign a midfielder before they go for any other position and get a midfielder signing done. So maybe we're delaying Timber till we know what's happening with De Jong. But the more and more we wait on De Jong, the more and more time we're wasting with other deals, because it seems that we want to sign De Jong before we sign anyone, because that will be the big signing. Please do hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest news as well, please do subscribe. We are going to get into the Nunez news. I've been asked quite a bit on the Nunez news. I'm just going to read out a few live chats. Then I'll get into the Darwin Nunez news, which I'm not the biggest fan of Darwin Nunez, but we'll get into it. Andrew said he has his concerns over Timber's size, but watch how him and Lisandro Martinez, who is even smaller than Timber, dealt with Haaland. Good point. If the Timber deal is done soon, he can have a medical in the Dutch camp. True. And maybe that's why Man United want to get these medicals for Timber and De Jong. What's going on with me today? Maybe that's why the report that Graham Bailey said that United want to get these medicals done for Timber and De Jong during the international break is because they could do it in the Dutch camp. Maybe that's why. Again, I just don't know why we're talking about De Jong and Timber medicals when nothing is advanced. Well, some sources are saying it's advanced and some sources are saying it isn't. And, maybe the De Jong and Timber situation is more advanced than we think. And that's why we're talking about medicals. Or maybe it's just, again, a story you take with a pinch of salt as well. Really thirsty today, I won't lie. We've been linked to Mason Mount. We've been linked to Kante. We've been linked to a lot of players. So yeah, I want to get into some more news as well. So let me get into the Nunez stories, because that's what you guys wanted to know. So it came out from Alex Crook saying that Darwin Nunez is definitely high on Ten Hag's wanted list and is a big possibility, but don't think anything is immediate, and Benfica want a fee of £68 million. Manchester United are pursuing a deal to sign Darwin Nunez. He has a £68 million price tag, and Nunez is said to be keen to become part of Ten Hag's revolution. I don't like this. I don't. I'm going to be honest. Darwin Nunez is a big risk of a signing. I understand why people will want him. He's a good finisher. He has good stats. He's 22. He can turn into a good player. I will tell you that now. I don't think he's an awful player, but £68 million on Darwin Nunez, I don't like that. Again, with Darwin Nunez, it's been said reportedly by good journalists that United will sort of delay a move for Darwin Nunez because they want to sign a midfielder first. And I don't think Darwin Nunez would be our first signing. I think we want to get a midfielder before we sign Darwin Nunez. But what I don't like about United is 80 million euros, £68 million on Darwin Nunez. I think that's a lot. I think, and United will do something like that. I think there's Skamaka out there, there's Etika out there. I know there's not loads of brilliant striker options, but there's cheaper options out there. And for a player that has no technical ability, can't play in a team that lacks a lot of things, I think that's a lot of money. Now, what we do know on Darwin Nunez is I'm not opposed to Darwin Nunez, but this is how I feel about Darwin Nunez, and it's sort of how I felt about Maguire. I said I have no issue with United signing Harry Maguire at the time, but he's not worth more than £40 million. And I was right on that, because at the end of the day, Maguire isn't as bad as a centre-back as we think. It's just not worth £80 million. I said, I don't mind Maguire. I don't mind signing him, but, no more than £40 million for Maguire, because he was an improvement on what we had at the time. Obviously, he's been dreadful. That's how I feel with Darwin Nunez. I don't have an issue with Darwin Nunez, but I think there's better options out there, and I wouldn't want to spend more than £50 million on Darwin Nunez. I don't think he's worth it. I really don't. However, Darwin Nunez does want to come to United. Di Marzio confirmed Darwin Nunez wants to come to the Premier League, and Newcastle and Man United are interested in him. Fabrizio Romano confirmed Darwin Nunez will leave Benfica. He's got a £68 million price tag on him. He's been confirmed to leave Benfica. I don't think anyone is stupid enough to pay £68 million for Darwin Nunez other than Man United. So I think we'll probably get him, but I think we can probably lower that price tag because that is crazy. And there's reports coming out saying United don't want to pay stupid money for a player, and £68 million for Darwin Nunez. It's just my opinion. He's not worth it. I think the thing with Darwin Nunez is he's a risk. He's an absolute risk. He could come in and he could be like Bruno in his first 18 months, a stat padder, a good player, scoring lots of goals. Or he could come in and he could be like Rashford and just can't get involved. And when Ten Hag plays such a modern, advanced style of football that is team football, I don't know if he fits in. But at the same time, Ten Hag made Sebastian Haller look good. Ten Hag made Tadic look good. He was average in the Prem. Ten Hag has a reputation for making very average players look good. I'm not calling Darwin Nunez average. He is a good player. But I just don't think he's as good as his stats say, if you get what I mean. But the thing about Ten Hag is, I've always said this, if Ten Hag wants a player, we get him. I don't care if Ten Hag wants Susan Boyle to play CDM, you get Susan Boyle to play CDM if Ten Hag wants Susan Boyle. You know, for me, if Nunez is the striker Ten Hag wants, then we get him and I'm happy with that. But I don't know if we're going for Nunez because it's an obvious option and that the board want him, or we're going for Nunez because Ten Hag wants him. And I think, does he suit Ten Hag's style of football? That's what I'm questioning. Nunez is open to a Premier League move, open to United move. United are the team most advanced to signing Nunez. We've had talks with Nunez. We want Nunez. But does Ten Hag want Darwin Nunez? And if Ten Hag wants Nunez, cool. Bish, bash, bosh. Let's get Darwin Nunez. But only for me, if Ten Hag wants him. The thing about Ten Hag is he does like a poacher and goal, and I think you get that with Darwin Nunez. But he lacks a lot of other attributes that I think Ten Hag would probably rate. As well, smash that like button, guys. Please do subscribe down below if you're new as well. Man United players are a pain in my backside. Yeah, they are. I agree with you on that. And Nunez will come good under a quality manager like Ten Hag. He's still young, though. And that's what I agree with. Because he's only 22, I do somewhat agree with that comment, Nick. Someone made a comment about Ndika, and I can't find it. SM here saying Ndika and Botman are better than Timber, would be cheaper and more experienced. I do like the look of Ndika, but what I like about Timber is he's played under Eric Ten Hag and he knows how to play under Eric Ten Hag as well. And we need to complete these deals. The more we divot other clubs, you know, may target. Yeah, exactly. United need to hurry up and get some deals done. How close is the deal for Timber? I don't know. I think something will be done within the next 2 weeks. I think surely we're going to get business done in June, like we say. Nunez is the new Cavani as well. Someone said Tony's going to set the season on fire, hopefully, but I think he wants to leave. I think Martial was gone. If Ten Hag wants him, you buy him. And that's what I feel with Darwin Nunez. If it's who Ten Hag wants, we get him. But if it's just who United want, because he's an obvious choice, then no. Yeah, it's a big risk for you guys. Let's sign him. We're gagging for a 9. We do need a number 9, and I'm not opposed to Darwin Nunez. I just don't think he's worth £68 million. There's number 9s I'd like more. That'll be spending 170 million on De Jong, Timber, and Nunez. Back to overspending. I 100% agree. And I don't know if you saw my Twitter, but I did a tweet of sort of alternatives. And my alternatives were so United's targets are Pau Torres, Timber, Nunez, and De Jong, which would be like £200 million. Here are my alternatives. If we can't get Nunez, get Scamacca. And I'd actually rather have Scamacca than Nunez. I think Scamacca you could get for 50 million, okay? If you can't get De Jong, get Fabian Ruiz of Napoli. Again, I reckon you can get him for less than 50 million. I generally do. CDM. This was a difficult one. Rice, Tchouaméni, Kamara, Phillips not happening. Skeptical about Ruben Neves, actually, personally myself. Basuma with the legal issues you want to get out of that. So you're looking at Paulinho, you're looking at Cooper Miners, you're looking at Sangare. Who are you really looking at CDM? Grealish, or is he really a DM? LAIMER again, is he really a DM? I've gone with Sangare. Not seen him play a lot, but again, Ten Hag will be familiar with him. I think he'll be an affordable price. My centre back, if we can't get Timber, I've gone with Ndika. And my fullback, I've gone with Malak. It's not even, I don't know how to say his name. I say Malachi, but some people are saying Malasia and Malaysia and Mausha. You know, no one knows how to say his name. I would say those would be my potential signings as well. With Nkunku seems less likely to leave, we should perhaps look at Danjuma. I like the versatile forward types, which historically do the best with. I do agree, and I do think we need a left-footed forward, which I think Danjuma offers as well. Carbon Phillips would be a great signing, but it won't happen now. Leeds have stayed up. I think Carbon Phillips, for the right price, would be a good signing, but I think he's one that will be overpriced because he's English as well. That's how I feel about it. Only 124 likes needed, 400 likes, guys. So please do smash that like button if you have not already as well. And Tony and Mason up front, well, they're not going to be in next season. A lot of people say Sangari's a beast, and he's a player that I'd like to see. LAIMER will be a progressive centre mid, an alternative to get, of course. We can always stick with Donny. Look, Donny coming back will be a new signing as well. But yeah, I definitely like him. I definitely like Sangara as well. I think they're cheap options that United should be going for. Again, Spence, maybe. I don't know if he's quite at the level yet. He's like James Garner. You just don't know if he's at the level yet as well. Man United players need to spack in the bumps as Lee, honestly. And once Barcelona say De Jong is for sale, the clubs like Juventus, PSG and other clubs will go for him and offer him UCL. I generally said, back to the De Jong thing, De Jong leaving, De Jong wants to stay at Barcelona because he loves Barcelona. I don't believe in that UCL shit. I think if De Jong needs to leave Barcelona, United can get him over other teams. I just think he wants to stay at Barcelona because it's the club he loves. It's his childhood club as well. But yeah, there's a lot of good names out there. And what I will do is I'll share my screen with you guys. So I've got quite a few stories to get into, but this is like my cheap alternatives to United options. Can you see that? Can you see that? Well, you can't see me now. There we go. So they're my cheap alternatives just because I think our options are a bit on the pricey side. And look, De Jong is looking less and less likely because of the Barcelona financial situation update and all of that. And obviously, apparently, Erik ten Hag is watching Mason Mount's contract situation at Chelsea. I reckon that's Mason Mount's PR team going, oh, we want to get him a better contract, so let's link him to Manchester United. I think there's nothing in Mason Mount to United if you want me to be honest as well. Laptop is making a really loud noise now. I'll tell you that as well. But I've got a few stories I want to get into as well about United. Reports about how Bruno Fernandes is a good influence in the dressing room. Bish, bash, bosh, blah, blah, blah. Also, I will say, United are in 420 million euros debt. Barcelona are in 1.35 billion euros debt. So if you think we're in bad debt, look at freaking Barcelona, eh? Only positive to come out today. James Ducker again says that Man United's priority is midfield. Laurie Whitwell said United's priority is midfield and we want to sign 2 midfielders. James Ducker spoke about how unlocking the true potential talent of stagnating talent is an area where Man United feel they could gain a lot under Ten Hag, who believes he will offer hands-on coaching to players who've been missing. Bruno's not been up to his usual standard. Rashford's dropped in standard. Sancho's not up to his usual standard. And I think with Ten Hag, he's made Tadic look good. He's made Sebastian Haller look good. I think one of the things you get if you do appoint Ten Hag at United is, can he get that Sancho, Rashford and Bruno that we all know as well? Also, weird story here from James Ducker saying there have been internal debates about systems going back to the last summer, but there will be no more hoist a set formation on Erik ten Hag. Manchester United want their football to be ready, identical but flexible and unpredictable in the best sense. And that sources close to the process of the core principles of Ten Hag's style say he will look to implement the team that needs attacking football, high energy, high pace and press. Man United want technical and athletic ability, but also mental resilience and robustness. Basically, in other words, under Ollie, no one really knew what we played. We didn't have a specific style, identity or pattern. It was sit back and long ball. Under managers, we've always go, is it going to be a 5 at the back, 4 at the back? There wasn't a guaranteed system. That's their way of saying Ten Hag's going to do what Klopp does and Pep does and play his system and all of that as well. So, yeah, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. I do want to get into a few live chats. Someone made a good point here. Haller was very good before the Premier League. I do agree as well. I do agree. And no matter the commercial deals Barca do, they will need to sell considering the players they are linked with and already signed and cannot register. I do agree. And that's why, even though, the story about Barcelona sorting their financial situation has come out from a reliable journalist, I still think there's possibilities for De Jong because of all of that. Suarez is free. I don't think we want Suarez at United. We want a nice dressing room environment. We just don't want trouble. Malasai is the main option. Well, he is and he's not. We're not. We've got the 4 options, and then Malasai is one of those that we've been linked to, but he's not one of the main 4. But I've put him on there. Nunez is another Lukaku, and that's what I think. I think Darwin Nunez is another Lukaku, and that's why I'm not the biggest admirer of him. And what top 5 targets do you think Erik ten Hag's asked the Man United board to deliver? I believe it's Nunez, Pau Torres, Timber, De Jong, and a CDM that maybe we aren't really aware of yet. The thing that worries me is we're not strongly linked to a CDM. Like when you think about it, we're not particularly strongly linked to a CDM. You know, and I know there's a lack of options out there. Chouameni's gone, this player's gone, this player's gone, this player's gone. But you know, I'd like us to sign a CDM. I'd like us to do something, and I don't know what we're doing in a CDM sense. And I'm worried we won't sign a CDM. I'm worried we're going to spend all this time on De Jong. All the other midfield options are going to be gone, and we've not addressed the midfield. Now, Laurie Whitwell said, Eric Ten Hag would like 2 midfielders. One as a Pogba replacement, one as a Matic replacement. Again, I'm just going to hope that's the case. But my one worry is we're hearing stories about United spending 68 million on Darwin Nunez. But the only midfielder we've been linked to strongly is Frenkie De Jong, and he is not a CDM. You know, we've got obviously RB Leipzig, LAIMER, again, who's not a CDM, saying he'll leave RB Leipzig, so maybe we'll be linked to him. But I want to see us linked to a Sangare or an actual CDM. And I want to, if we're not going to get De Jong, I want us to be going for De Jong alternatives like Fabio Ruiz, Aqua. You know, I just don't like the fact that we could spend 68 million on Darwin Nunez and not sign a CDM. And my one criticism of Murta is he didn't sign a CDM last summer. He didn't, okay? And that should have been a priority last summer. It should have been a priority the summer before. We spent 90 million on Donny to not play him, Palestri to send him out on loan, and Diallo to send him out on loan and not play him, when we could have signed a CDM and prepared for Matic's departure in advance. But we didn't. You know, Matic is gone, so we actually have to get a CDM. McTominay is crap. We have Fred and Bruno in the squad. Donny will be like a new signing. James Garner comes back in, but you don't know how good he is. I think he's better than McTominay, but I think he'd benefit from a loan. You need to get 2 midfielders in, and this is what I'm worried about. I'm hearing 68 million on Nunez. Get me a CDM. Maybe a Grealish on a free. Kamara's gone to Villa. You know, I need to hurry up and get some business done as well. De Jong and Neves could play together, or Timber would play the CDM role. I'm not a big fan of trying Timber in the CDM role. I think De Jong and Neves could play together, but I don't see Neves working under Ten Hag. I don't think Neves is a Ten Hag player, if I'm being honest as well. And we didn't sign anyone in January when Sakara and Kamara available for peanuts. Exactly, we just didn't. And it wouldn't be the first time United screwed up in the summer transfer window. True. You know, I'm trying to remain positive. This is Man United's window for change. This is Man United's proving a point. This is going to be Man United's busiest and best window in ages, they're saying. And I'm gonna hope that's the case. And I believe that we're working on 3 or 4 deals at once, and we'll probably sign 3 or 4 players in the space of a few weeks. And I think it will be a good window. But the fact that we're sitting here, we haven't brought or sold anyone yet, and the fact that it's all a bit hit and miss with the journalists, it's like I'm getting bored. We need a DM, but if we signed a proper profile of mids in a progressive pivot, we could do without one. I agree. Sorry that I'm talking really weird. My voice is a bit, you know, if you get 2 good CDMs to play in the pivot, you can get away with not signing a DM. Absolutely spot on. But Sangare available for 32 million. We should go after him. Very underrated destroyer CDM. I 100% agree. 100% agree. We've also been linked with obviously Conrad LAIMER and Ruben Neves. United admire Neves. United admire LAIMER. Blah, blah, blah. LAIMER available for 20 million. LAIMER, Sangare maybe in the pivot. If you can't get De Jong, maybe less than De Jong. But here's the story. Fabrizio Romano said the agreement between Flamengo and Manchester United to keep Pereira has definitely collapsed. So Pereira's coming back. That's your CDM. I'm joking. But seriously, how is Andreas Pereira still a Manchester United player? How is Phil Jones still a Manchester United player? How are so many of these players that have been linked to Manchester United still a Manchester United player? Phil Jones, Bailly, Pereira, Lingard. They all should have left yonks ago. Mata, I love Mata. He should have left yonks ago. The problem with us is we've got so many players at this club that shouldn't be a United player anymore. So that's why players like Bruno, McTominay and Rashford and Maguire that have underperformed, the reason Maguire, McTominay and Rashford, who have been shit this season, will not be leaving the club is because we've kept on to so many players that we should have sold years ago, that we're selling the players this summer that we should have sold years ago and keeping the players that have only had 1 bad season. Do you know what I mean? And keeping players that aren't troublemakers. Please do hit that subscribe button, guys. I go live every single evening on the Alice Talks Football YouTube channel. So if you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, make sure you're subscribed to Alice Talks Football because I go live every single evening. The minute we sign a player, the minute we sell a player, if a deal's agreed, if personal terms are agreed, if a bid's put in, If any official breaking news comes out, I'll be live to let you guys know. Daily Manchester United content, match reactions, match previews, watch-alongs when it's game time. But obviously, busy summer transfer window. As said, Erik ten Hag wants to get all his business done by the end of June, which means that is now exactly a month where we could be signing 4 players in the next month, 1 a week. So do make sure you're subscribed if you want to stay up to date on all the news. Bish, bash, bosh. Alice, do you think we'll sign any players this summer window because we're linked but no action? Of course we'll sign players. We're working on lots of deals. I believe that United are working on deals. I'm a bit fed up because we're just linked to players and it feels like nothing's happening. While I believe a lot is happening behind the scenes, I believe United are working quite heavily on 3 or 4 deals behind the scenes. And I do believe we'll sign a lot of players and I'm trying to stay positive. Andreas and Jones show that giving long contract extensions to crap players does not work well. Absolutely agree. You're spot on with that as well. And why would LAIMER go to Bayern? Sabitzer barely plays as it is, and Kimmich and Goretzka sign new contracts. Musiala isn't going anywhere. Exactly. You know, I don't get why all these Bundesliga players just go to Bayern. It's so boring. It's such a farmers league. And I think RB Leipzig would rather sell to a club like United than Bayern. James Ducker came in with an interesting story, and James Ducker said about Erik ten Hag's plan. What is Erik ten Hag's transfer plan? Bish, bash, bosh. Erik ten Hag has been very clear on the type of player he wants at Manchester United, says James Ducker. He also said that Manchester United and Erik ten Hag want to have a leaner squad next season, a lot of emphasis on being placed for the need of leadership and character and potential recruits. Basically saying Ollie kept players at Man United for squad depth and COVID, and he kept players at United that weren't happy. Ollie went to Lingard and said, don't go to West Ham, I'll play you, stay. Lingard stayed, Bruno was crap, he still didn't get played. Lingard caused the fuss, caused dressing room issues. Ten Hag is very much like, if a player doesn't want to be here, we sell them. If a player's not going to be involved, we sell them. Ten Hag's like, I'd rather have a thinner squad and they all have good personnel than a thicker squad and they cause issues. Because when Baye's not playing, when Lingard's not playing, when Cavani's no longer the main man, they're just leaking stuff to the media. They're causing dressing room issues. They're causing a collapse in squad morale. So it's very much like Ten Hag just wants to sell a lot of players and go, yeah, the squad is leaner. Yeah, I don't have the depth. But at the end of the day, I'd rather not have the depth and make sure all the players in here have a bit of character and leadership. It was also said that there are 3 questions Erik ten Hag, John Murta and Man United's recruitment team have, and that is, do the targets fit the bill? Can they outrun people? Can they outplay people? And can they outfight people? And it seems that Ten Hag's watched us play and go, we're not fit enough. We don't run a lot. Ten Hag, we're not very technical. We're not very tactical. I think when Ten Hag watches us play, he's going, can they run? Can they move? Can they pass? Can they outfight people? And it's very obvious that's what Ten Hag wants to do. It was also said by James Ducker that United believe Jadon Sancho needs structure, and Ten Hag is expected to bring in the right environment and tools for Sancho to become a 5-star. I think Sancho is going to have a brilliant season next year. I just feel it. And obviously, again, he said that midfield reinforcements are being prioritised. I'm hopeful for Ten Hag seeing the value and taking care of the ball rather than just being a tall, fast. I agree. I don't think McTominay is god awful, but I think McTominay is the bench player at best. He's not very technically gifted. He hides behind players. I want to see players like De Jong or players that are technically gifted, not tall, physical, Burnley players. I'm fed up of this sit-back, counter-attacking football. I want to see technical players. I want to see players with good ability on the ball. I agree. If I would Manchester United, I would do, if we take too long, I would move to other players. All my signings would be done already. What do you think? I think if we're taking too long on deals, we need to just, with De Jong, if we're still here in 2 weeks for De Jong, if we're still here in 2 weeks for Timber, it's a bit like, and there's no sign that we're getting them, we need to move on. I still think we'll get Timber. I think De Jong's a 50-50. Thanks for the great content. Thank you very much, Saeed. He said, sacking Rangnick was a huge mistake. I'm worried about this club. Any idea about Cone? Not at the moment. I said his name wrong, but whatever. But yeah, I agree. Sacking Rangnick was just a stupid decision as well. I think Baye hasn't been given a chance. I agree. I think Baye's one where Maguire's been awful. Baye had a few games and was good, and we still played Maguire. I understand why Baye was pissed off with United, but it is what it is. Also been said today that there are other players Ten Hag wants, but the names are being kept quietly and internally. Exactly. And that's why I'm hoping that maybe we do take some action. I'm going, you know what, Nunez, Pau Torres, all of that. Don't really care. I would love us to go for a Scamacca or a Sangare. And I think with maybe CDM, surely we're not looking at CDM. Laurie Whitwell said that Ten Hag ideally wants 2 midfielders. He spoke about Kante, Enzo Fernandez. I think we're looking at CDMs, but we're keeping that one quiet. I really do. It was also said that Christopher Nkunku doesn't really want to move to Newcastle, but Christopher Nkunku would be open to moving to Manchester United or Chelsea. I'd keep an eye on Nkunku. Again, I actually would prefer Nkunku to Nunez, but I don't think Leipzig really want to sell Christopher Nkunku, if I'm being honest with you. But that's a report that's gone in as well. For me, because a lot of people say, you know, what would you do in the transfer window, Alice? Like, if you were in control, what would you do? And I would say, buy Van Dijk and Mbappe. I wouldn't actually, because that's really unrealistic. But if I was in charge of the transfer windows, on a serious note, what would I do? Who would I buy? Who would I sell? And I'd actually go for Skamaka instead of Darwin Nunez. I'd go for Tyrell Malachi, however you say his name, just as a fullback, up and coming. Saw him a little bit in the Conference League, looked freaking rapid. I'd go for Timber, I'd go for Sangare, and I would try and get De Jong. That's personally what I would do. I'd look at players that are available on a free, like Ericsson as maybe Bruno backup, but maybe Donny coming in. We don't need that Bruno backup. That's what I do. SM said Leipzig are a selling club. I agree. Your chat's just disappeared. Leipzig are a selling club. They sell anyone for the right price. I agree. I think LAIMER and Nkunku, all very, very possible. 100% agree. Let me put the banner back. No Frenkie, no Nunez, no Nkunku. Man United will finish 4th or 5th. I'm trying to be positive, but it is just look. It's a situation where we've been linked to De Jong, Nunez, Timber for a while. I know United are working on deals for De Jong, Timber, and Nunez. I know that. I'm just a bit bored of it. I'm a bit bored of it, and I just hope in the next few days we just do something, because Tottenham have done something, Liverpool have done something, City have done something. They finished above us. I hope we freaking do something, buy some players, sell some players. It's meant to be our busiest transfer window in years. We ain't brought or sold anyone yet. But that's a big question of yet. Obviously, there's international duty. The season's just over, but it's time to start buying. It's time to start selling. And I generally think June is going to be hectic. I just think it's all going to heat up now. Champions League is over. Obviously, a bit of international break, but I generally believe that it's just all going to absolutely heat up, and that we will start signing players and all of that. But guys, I am absolutely exhausted. I can barely stay awake for some reason. I'm very thirsty, so I'm going to end the live stream now, grab a drink of water and all of that. Sorry I ended the live stream a little bit early, but I've got a bit of a headache, you see. So probably best to end the live stream. But I can't talk, you see what I mean? My head's just gone, I just can't talk. But what I will say is, please do smash that like button. Please do subscribe down below if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, make sure you subscribe to the channel. At the minute there's a big update, I'll be live. If we sign a player, we sell a player, I'll be live. If a bid's gone in, I'll be live. If personal terms have gone in, I'll be live. If we get here we go, I'll be live. And I think June will be hectic. Nothing's happening now, it's boring. But the fact that nothing's happening now means something will happen very soon. And we could wake up tomorrow and there could be a big story out of just nowhere about Timber or De Jong or Nunez or even a new player. And, you know, right now I'm fed up of it all being repeated and all of that. But I generally believe I could wake up tomorrow and there could be a big, big story coming out. So do make sure you subscribe, because I will keep you guys up to date on all the latest news, short videos in the J, live streams in the evening, and hopefully stuff happen. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Smash a like. As Diego says, put that post notification bell on so you know when I'm next live. And yes, I'll see you next time, guys. Bish bash bosh. Bye.